thing is, you just got to keep pushing on it, spinning it until it goes all the way in. And it's kind of a pain in the butt. It takes a little while. Oh, that was a good sound. That was one good sound. Ah, there we go. I think that's all the way in. Yeah, because we're good ways inside the bell housing now. Yeah, we're ready to go. By the end of this video today, I hope to have the engine and transmission back into Dakota. But there's a lot of stuff that I got to get done first before we can just go ahead and start throwing that stuff in. Because that's actually relatively easy to kind of get all that stuff in there once I get it all bolted together. But it's going in for good. So that means we're going to be installing the torque converter and the transmission. We're going to be installing a new flywheel on the engine and making sure everything mates up well and bolts in. But I'm also doing a few things kind of off camera that I need to do for just my specific build, I guess you could say. One of those things is I countersunk through the bolts on the what do you call it, the drive shaft safety loop. So I got to go get some hardware for that. Cleaning out my fuel lines before I put everything back together, so that's why they're hanging on the engine. I've got to get them all cleaned out. And what I'm going to show you right now, actually, we're going to modify the shifter that's already in it for the 4-speed transmission. So if you're just now joining along, you have no idea what I'm talking about. This is my 5.3 liter LS swapped Dodge Dakota, 1992 Dakota. It's a truck I've owned since high school, and I have a lot of fun in it. But I've done a couple drag and drives in it, and the last time I did a drag and drive, I was getting ready to do the next one and decided that the transmission was shifting soft and kind of starting to slip, so it was time to pull it out and rebuild it. This is the old transmission, which is a Turbo 400, and you can see my issue here. So I took that as motivation to upgrade to a 4L80E 4-speed overdrive transmission. And all right, now you're caught up. So yeah, we're getting ready to throw that thing in, and in order to do that, I need to change my shifter around, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So this is my B&M Pro Stick shifter. I love this thing, and right now it's got a Turbo 400 plate in it. So well, that's great and dandy for that transmission. I had to order this guy, which is a 80712 4-speed pattern forward pattern plate. So we're going to swap this plate out real quick. It doesn't look too difficult. Looks like there's 1, 2, 3 C-clamps, 2 screws. So hopefully that's all it's going to be, and we can knock this dude out pretty quick. Probably need to put something underneath that because I don't really want to scratch my handle up. So let's do that. There we go. It's a little bit better. Let me start getting tools, and we'll swap that guy out. Luckily I've got it on a pedestal, so I can pull it out of my truck pretty easily. So anyway, you may have to do this inside the car if you're doing it yourself. But all right, let's get tools. So I've never done this before, but I'm hoping everything kind of stays in place. I'm wondering if some things might shift around, so I'm gonna put some rags underneath it to try to prevent that from backing out and these pins from backing out, because I'm feeling once you take these off, that's it. I'm just going to use my what do you call this thing, a pick, to try to move this clip off, which it looks like it's working. Get it in between there. Maybe need 2 different tools. There it goes. One clip off. 2. And here's the last one, which looks like, yeah, it's easiest to get with a flathead screwdriver. I did just see that move down though, so they did move. All right, now a couple screws. Will this come off now? Yeah. Sweet. I did see this move though, so we may have to get it back in there. There's the 400, which I need to label that, so I will. Let's open this guy up. Couple minute install here, that's not bad. Okay, well, can only go one way, right? So did have to move this down just a little bit. Stir these screws on first. Alright, now we gotta throw some clips on, right? Here's one. Careful not to lose these guys, because they will go flying. 2. There you go. That was pretty darn easy. Alright, so now we're gonna try it. First, let's do reverse. Here we go, nice reverse. I'm gonna pull it back one for neutral. Feels good. And then into drive. Beautiful. Now let's see if it goes all the way back. 3, 2. Oh, there's 2. And there's 1. So 1, forward, 2, 3, 4. Neutral. Safety's working for reverse, so let's put it in reverse. Park. Bingo! That couldn't have been easier. That was super easy. Sweet. That part's done. Next is pretty self-explanatory, right? This is the old shifter cable, and this is a new shifter cable. And I actually haven't even looked at it yet. And it's complete, which is fantastic. The difference is I ran out of room when I was fabbing up my transmission, and I noticed that I need a longer cable. So while this is a 5-foot cable here, where my foot is, this is an 8-foot cable, which should give me a whole bunch more room to make it work with the 4L80E. So this is out. This one goes in. Here goes the prep to install the drivetrain for the last time here. And one thing that I had to do with the 4L80 is I've got this awesome Circle D, I think it's 235 millimeter Pro torque converter. And it's a 6-bolt converter. The factory 5.3 flex plate is a 3-point flex plate. Plus it's not SFI rated and all that jazz. So I had to go out and buy another flex plate. Now I bought an inexpensive one for now. It's not billet or anything. And that could come at a later time, but for now this is gonna work just perfect for the power level that I got. And I bought this PRW Chromoly SFI flex plate. So I actually haven't even taken a peek at it yet. Part number is 1834624. And well, here we go. That's actually a pretty nice piece. You got your SFI spec right there, and that looks fantastic. So little sticker on it that says engine side because it is still a dished flex plate, but it comes with several different mounting holes to match up for your converter. So I think it accommodates both like small block Chevy bolt pattern, 5.3 bolt pattern, and 4L80E bolt pattern. I have a dual bolt pattern converter too, so it's not going to matter too much. But let's throw this guy on and kind of get started with the torquing of that. I also bought a set of ICT billet flex plate bolts, and with any flex plate bolt you're going to want to Loctite them. So I got some blue Loctite. Throw a little bit on there before we throw them in. All right, 5.3 on the ground. And I did that because I'm going to be putting a decent amount of pressure on these bolts. It's easier to do this when this engine is mounted in the car, but since it's not mounted in the car, we want to reduce the side-to-side movement while we torque the bolts. Now, what I'm going to do may not be a recommended workflow. I'm going to tell you all that right now, but I want to make sure that this block, or this flex plate, does not move. So I'm going to try to find a good way to wedge this bolt so that so it doesn't move, because it's going to want to spin when we go to torque these bolts. I usually like doing it on the bottom, but I don't think it's gonna go. Doesn't look like it. Let's try that right there. First pass, we're gonna set to 15 foot-pounds, and I do it in a star pattern. So it's gonna be, here's one. Cool. There you go. Easy enough. Alright, I don't know if y'all can see that. It's sitting at 37. The last pass is going to take some gumption. It's 74 foot-pounds. So here we go. I'm probably going to have to stand up for this one. Kind of did the wrong pattern, but I still kind of kept it pretty even, so just double check it all. There she goes, she's done. Not too hard. Man, that's a thing of beauty. Yeah, buddy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully put at least a quart of fluid in the converter. And it's just a bit of a tedious process. You just kind of have to pour and wait and pour and wait. Turn a little bit, pour and wait. So I'm not going to continue to go over that with you guys, but wanted to let you know that I am putting fluid in the converter. And then we're going to put it in that trans, and I'll show you the process on that because it's really crucial. Now comes a very, very crucial part. It's not exactly the easiest thing to do because this converter is pretty heavy, but we want to put the converter in the transmission. There's a couple things to that though. It doesn't just go in and be done. It has to line up on some of these teeth here, and then there's oil. The pump has fingers that the converter, these two slots have to go into. So it's almost like it should clunk at least 3 times once you get it all the way in. So thing is, you just got to keep pushing on it, spinning it until it goes all the way in. And it's kind of a pain in the butt. It takes a little while. Oh, that was a good sound. That was one good sound. Oh, there we go. I think that's all the way in. Yeah, because we're good ways inside the bell housing now. I'm gonna say it's probably at least an inch inside the bell housing. I'm gonna turn it some more just in case. And it's a big deal if it doesn't go all the way in. Really, really big deal. I think this one is fine though, because the snout looks like it's at the a little bit behind the what do you call it, the bell housing, and it's going to eventually have to come back out because this goes into the converter or into the crankshaft. So I think we're okay. I think feels really good, looks super cool, and yeah, we're ready to go. battery's about to die on the GoPro, so I don't have a whole lot of time, but what you wanted to go over something real quick because I'm kind of an idiot. I needed to get the converter to come up a little bit more, and I thought I might have to put some washers, but I actually just kind of pried on it a little bit with the pry bar, and now we're flush with the flywheel. So now I can put my converter bolts in. I did want to show you guys this because you'll know that you've got it far enough into trans if you can still move the converter around like this while it's in the back of the hub of the crank. So we are good. I'm going to put all the bolts in and tighten them down. Make sure when you do this you put Loctite on your converter bolts every single time. But before the battery dies, I just wanted to show you guys that, and then I'll be done with some major parts of this. This is probably take like 25, and I'm not kidding. I am just having the hardest time ending this video and summarizing what I've done today. But here we go, right? I got a lot done. Engine and transmission are in place for good. They're not coming back out. Hallelujah. Transmission mount is tight. The motor mounts are tight. I got the converter all in with Loctite and all 6 bolts. Obviously, you already saw me messing with the SFI flex plate. The dipstick tube is in, but it wants to be up here for the dipstick to work right. So I'm gonna have to figure out where I'm gonna mount that. I'm contemplating, I want to move this inside the truck anyway, so I'm kind of contemplating if maybe now's the time to move that. We'll figure that out at a later time. The drive shaft is installed, and I got 4 brand new bolts for that at O'Reilly's. They actually have them on the shelf, which are 12 millimeter 12-point bolts, but they have Loctite on them, so that's good. And now with that in place, park on the transmission will work. It's another safety factor that we have. Yay! All right, inside the truck, the shifter is back in place. I've got the cable hooked up to the shifter. I don't have it hooked up yet down there. We'll talk about that in a second, but it's awesome. We've got all 4 gears. So first gear, second gear, third gear, drive or 4th gear, and then into neutral, and then your reverse, and then park. So sweet. That was a really, really easy thing to do, and I'm just really happy about that. Now, I have not hooked up the bracket to the transmission, and I haven't hooked up the shifter yet to the front of the trans. If you guys want to see that, let me know, because I've done it once before, and I can link to that video if you need me to, but I don't want to repeat a whole bunch of stuff if I don't have to, because I don't want to bore you guys. But if you guys want to see the process on that, especially since it's a 4L80E, the bracket's a little different, I'll show you. So let me know if you want me to, and maybe I'll do it anyway. So just, that's, you know, a minor detail to do. Now, here's where we're at. I've got parts ordered, and I don't think they're going to be all in this weekend. So I'm kind of at a little bit of a stopping point. I say that because there's stuff I can do, but there's not a lot of stuff I can film. You've seen a lot of what I'm going to do before, and a lot of it's just going to be tedious wiring and stuff like that. I'm going to start wiring up the engine, and I've done the full Terminator X install before. And I may do another one again now that I've, you know, got some experience with YouTube underneath me with Gramps. But for this Dakota, I don't think I'm going to. So I'm going to just do a lot of tidying up and a lot of little tedious stuff. We do have to put exhaust on it. So I'll probably be doing that over the weekend. But the parts that I was talking about I ordered are for a transmission cooler. And we're actually going to mount that transmission cooler back here underneath the cab. And we're doing that for a couple reasons. And, you know, I'll just kind of be quick with it. Eventually this truck will probably have a turbo on it. Eventually this truck, I hope, will have air conditioning on it. So if it does, I want to save that space up front. So that's why we're going to mount it underneath here. So I've got a whole bunch of parts coming. I've got the cooler, the fan, wiring, hoses, fittings, all that coming. So, but in order for me to make sure that stuff all fits well and we can route it well, I have to put the exhaust on, at least the way it was before. Now, once that's all on, if you remember me talking earlier in the video, we're going to route a tailpipe all the way back out the back of the truck. So That's why the bed's still not on it. Once I get the muffler mounted in place, which will be over here, we'll start running that exhaust pipe up and over the axle and all the way out. So that's going to be a little bit of a project too. So transmission cooler, exhaust, and then last major project before we really get it on the road and get it running is I'm going to put the coilovers in. So once I get those two pieces done and I can get the truck back on the ground and off the cradles, we'll start working on the front end and putting those coilovers in. I'm hoping I can just put those coilovers in and that's it, because I don't really want to have to run different spindles, because with the upgraded brakes that I'm eventually going to do, they're not really compatible. So we'll see. We will see. I've got some work to do on that. And also I want to try to avoid as much bump steer as possible. And that's basically when the truck's going up and down, it's kind of turning the wheel because there's an arc in the tie rod. That doesn't make sense. Maybe it will eventually. Maybe I'll find a better way to describe it. But, you know, if it does make sense, you'll know what I'm talking about. So I think in a month, we'll have this thing running. I really do. I think it'll be 4 or 5, 6 weeks in there. Hopefully 4. And this thing will be back running and driving. And I cannot wait to drive it again. I can't wait to feel the new brakes in the rear. I can't wait to just see what I've done over a year, because it's been a very long and tedious project. So I want to thank you guys for coming along on this project, because I've gained a lot of people over the past year or so, and you guys are awesome. And I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much. If you are new to the channel and you're just now checking this out, please consider subscribing and hanging out with us. We have a lot more than just Dakotas, obviously. Wait, there's another Dakota. And anyway, we have a lot going on, and we'd love to have you come and hang out with us while we take on all these other projects. I do have some updates about the merch. The update is not good. The website that I use to get this stuff done through is having an issue, and I have not been able to get my sample order completed in the past few days. I've kind of been on and off the phone, and it's not resolved yet. So I was hoping to have samples of a hoodie, 2 t-shirts, and a hat by now, and well, I don't have them yet. So as soon as I get them, I'm going to post them on our Facebook and Instagram so you guys can check that out. Speaking of, our Facebook and Instagram is at The Racer X Garage. In fact, you can see it right there. And you know, check us out on those platforms, and if they look good, I'd be happy to share them with you and see what you guys think, and see if you guys might be interested in grabbing a couple of those, and we'll go from there when we get there. All right, I'm going to shut it down and enjoy the rest of my evening. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and until next time, you know the deal. Y'all be good.